Hello, people of the internet. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. A happy Monday to you all. We have got more music to check out, coming courtesy of the newly debuted gentleman from ZEROBASEONE. We have the album, The Youth in the Shade EP. Now, we've done the two dance practices they dropped pre-debut. We checked out the MV for the title track, In Bloom, which I forgot to say during the MV reaction, wasn't as bright as what I thought it was going to be. Like, when Say My Name, the dance practice for that dropped, it had this really nice, bright, bubbly, useful energy to it. It wasn't as clear in Bloom, and I quite like that direction. It's a different switch-up. But we're not done quite yet. We have 5 more songs on the album to get through. We've got Back to Zero Base. We've listened to In Bloom, so we're going to skip that and go on to track number 3, New Kids on the Block. And 우주 먹지, and let's see, track number 5, Our Season, and finally Always, which, if I've read correctly, is the Changhao solo track that he got as a prize for becoming number 1 vote on Boys Planet. So, if you're new around here, we just go through these in order, just one after the other. You'll see it based, if this survives on YouTube, of course. You'll see in the timeline below, chaptered based off of whatever we're listening to, if you want to skip ahead to a certain song or whatever, what have you. And yeah, if you're in it for the long haul like me, welcome aboard. Let's get started. Before every song, I have the song credits pulled up on the side, so I will be reading off of those before every song. So, let's take a gander at Back to Zero Base. It was by Cho Yoon Kyung, Danke, Sujum, Sue Lee from MUMW, and Yi Jin, who is also on quite a few of the tracks. Composition: Will Langsley, John Morgan, the team from Punctual, Jordan Shaw, Danny Shah. Lots of Western composers on this one. And then the same team on arrangements. All right, let's send it one time. Here we go. Is it a new start or the end? 너와 나 사이 가르던 평행선이 falling slowly. 이제 모든 게 새롭게 시작돼. 어둠 속에 느껴진 떨림. Very pretty. There's the beat, much like the one from In Bloom. Love the reverb on this too. Wide, big reverb. Okay, it's a little bit more in your face when it comes to synth department, but very much like In Bloom in terms of the pacing. I'm getting big EDM influences from it, which I quite like because I quite like it EDM. Lots of movement in the song. Lots of movement. Cool. Love the layers in the vocals too. Lots of reverb in the song too. Lots of tasteful reverb, I should add. It's not like the song just doesn't end. It rings. It rings a lot. The soundstage for this song is huge. And you notice that right off the rip when the song starts. It really establishes just how big of a soundscape you're listening to this song in. But for me, that standout moment, or that standout element for me is that driving beat, whether it's the percussion pad part or whether it's the synths. Wow. It's like ZB1, if we're including In Bloom as well, are 2 for 2 when it comes to just having a really solid driving beat. Especially with Back to Zero Bass, it's giving me sensations that I got listening to EDM artists like Tobu, like Noise Storm, like a lot of the more pluckier EDM, AU3, like a lot of the pluckier electro art DJs that I used to listen to back in like the mid 2010s, like your quintessential Monster Cat electro type beats, if that makes sense. If you get that reference, you understand what I'm talking about. But that like kind of oscillating synth beat paired with the really quick pad, wow. Wow, the beat and the energy is good. It's such a fast song, but you pair that with the kind of more drawn out vocals and it balances itself out really nicely. And I don't know if it's my memory just completely blanking on the fact that I just might have missed it or if it really didn't exist. I feel like in this group, especially in Bloom as well, like the rap section isn't as pronounced as I think other boy groups are. Like in Bloom, it was tucked away in the bridge. In Back to Zero Base, I'm pretty sure there wasn't a whole lot, if any, in terms of like maybe there was like some talk singing, but again, if I got kind of overwhelmed with the beat, so I might have missed the top line a little bit. And if there was a rap verse, I apologize for that. But yeah, I feel like rap verses haven't been like front and center importance, which is interesting. As someone who prefers a melodic song, I'm quite enjoying myself. But nice, good start. And of course, next should have been In Bloom, the title track, but we're going to skip that because we've listened to it and we've watched it already. So this is New Kids on the Block, spelled Kidz, because we're edgy like that. Anyways, lyrics by Cho Yoon-kyung. That's it. Interesting. A single lyric contribution, okay. Composition, Im Soo-ho and Nico of Entropy and P-Maker, also on arrangements, and then additionally, composition, Andreas Orn. I reckon we're probably gonna see a couple of recognizable names on here in like the production team. But I'm looking for this one. Alright, New Kids on the Block. Let's see what kind of energy we got. Again, very EDM based. I'm not mad at it. It's gotta bounce. It's got a really good bounce to it.
Hero. We're going straight to the top. We're the new kids on the block.
ZB1 aren't afraid to stack some vocals in their songs. Very pleased by that. Also, lots of back and forth with that song, especially in the pre-chorus. You know, the melodic and the rap. honestly, they are embracing the EDM-ness and like the energy of the EDM, and they're actually bossing it. The vibes are so good, the bounce and the vibes. And also, this one's got a slight summery kick to it, which I really appreciate, especially the time of year this released. Like, get this on a EDM festival stage. I could see it. On the block. Singing da-da-da-da. We're the new kids on the block. They cold cut it at the end. That's okay. That's okay though. Yes, the EDM vibes are exquisite. Are genuinely exquisite. I'm kind of surprised. We're halfway done with the album at this point. We are 3 for 3 on just really good EDM. Not many artists will go this heavy in one direction, but just the party vibes of this album so far are so good. And also, I mentioned it on the title track video, but the vocals just sound so comfortable in this group. Like, all the vocalists, whenever they have a singing part in the song, like, their voices just sound so comfortable in the range that they're singing in the part of the song that they're singing in. Sometimes, when you listen to music, especially pop music, and you get into your, like, choruses and stuff, especially the final choruses when you have someone doing the vocal ad-libs, the fills, the runs, the high notes. If you're in the girl group department, you got people doing, like, whistle tones and things like that. Sometimes you can kind of feel in your ears and in your, like, inside if a vocalist is, like, straining to reach a certain note. Even on a studio recording, you can tell when a vocalist is pushing their limits in the vocal range. With ZB1, I have not once in the 3 songs we've checked out on the album so far a moment where I felt like the vocals are, like, being pushed to its absolute limit. I am also very curious to see what the true vocal range of this group is in terms of, like, high and low ends. Because I think we're at that comfortable 80-85% region, but I want to know what the, like, very extreme 15% is like. But yeah, the vocals, very solid, very comfortable, very full body to all of them. And especially once you start stacking the vocal parts as well. Like, they're a group that's comfortable with putting in a lot of vocals in their songs, and I appreciate that immensely. Lots of harmonies and lots of stacking in this group already. Alright, and Ujumonji. I think my Korean isn't great. I can kind of piece together roughly what they're supposed to sound like, but anyways. Lyrics by 2 from the MUMW team, Jong Se-hee and Young. Composition, Valder Pret of Artifact, Moon Kim, Nild of Mono Tree, Lee Sung-hung, Haring and Orom. Arrangement, Mono Tree, Nild for Mono Tree, Sung-hung, Haring and Orom. Mono Tree composition, this could be exciting. Peep the vocals. Definitely going in a hip-hoppy direction. Don't hate it though.
웃으면 난 reject like an aeroplane 어지러워 금세 중심을 못 잡네 유감이 휘청휘청해 가득 찬 message every day and every night 여기서 난 그 사이 어디 oh yeah 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 사실 바쁜데 하루에도 수십 번 Your feeding story에 습관처럼 heart like 쏟아지는 like and I 그중 하나는 내 거야 oh my 너만 모르나 봐
Oh, get tasty with the chords one time.
아직 숨겨진 our place 여긴 딱 봐도 네 취향의 카페 어쩜 머리가 잘 됐고 옷도 완벽했고 한껏 꾸민 기념한 것
They're having a little bit of fun with this though. You can kind of feel it.
내 feed 관리 의미 있나 싶어 딱한 사람 너보라고 올린 건데 네 앞에 서면 우주먼지 같은 나 끝이 없이 떠도는
Love that even though there is that hip hop bounce to it in from the pre-chorus, it's so smooth.
얼마나 줄었을까 My feet and story엔 숨겨둔 나의 heart 쏟아지는 like and I 그중 하나 내 거야 oh my 너만 모르나 봐 월화수목금토일 like this 섞임이 보이니 내맘 긴 제법 끝난데 점점 너로 끊임없는 마치
Oh, yeah.
algorithm 한 걸음 다가섰다
This, I think, in terms of vocal range, is the widest we've had on one song so far.
친구들도 전부 놀라 싹 뒤바뀐 MBTI 사랑받고 싶어 정말 쏟아지는 like and I 그중 하나 내 거야 oh my
Lots of movement,
너만 모르나 봐
lots of ad-libs. Oh, I love that it was one instrumental part away from being a cappella to finish this song. Whoa. You know, I really hope ZB1 become a group that's known for the amount of vocals you get in their music, because, wow. There's never a dull moment with the ZB1 vocal part. There really isn't. And it's really kind of cool to see that with a ZB1 song, it's very rare that you get one singular vocal part isolated on itself. You're always going to have something in the background, whether it's like support harmony or you got someone doing ad-libs and fills in the background. Like, a vocalist is never isolated on his own in this group, so you're going to always get a nice, rich vocal. And as someone who loves a nice, rich vocal, whew, ooh, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. I'm actually really glad that they decided to go with this kind of slower, more pop-oriented route, because I think 4 straight songs going really fast-paced EDM would have become a little bit overwhelming. So kind of taking a little step back, having a little bit of a chill vibe on a song, very much, 1, really well needed, 2, well executed, but 3, perfect placement within the album too. Because that's a great way to start the second half. Nice. Okay. Our Season. Now this one has a lot of people on lyrics. Like here. You can see it on screen there. Look at the list on lyrics. But anyways. Our Season. Lyrics by Jin from PNP, Jungyeonji, Yunnara, Ryu Kayong from Artifact, Vendors of Cullen, Alphabet, Kim Soa, Kim Hye-jun, no. Oh my goodness, they're not even in order. Alphabet from 153 June Bus, Oh boy. Kim So of Artifact, Kim Hye Jung of PNP, Yoon of Artifact, John Hari and Choi Bora of Jumbas, Nan Jongha of Jumbas, Song Yu of Artifact, Sian of Artifact. Okay, so we have PNP, Artifact, and 153 Jumbas on one song doing lyrics. Composition, El Capitan and Andy Love. Vendors, Prince, Chiller, and Cullen, and Haring, once again. Arrangement by El Capitan, Vendors, Haring, and Prince and Chiller. Dang. Okay. I know a couple of the producers, and their work's pretty well. This could be a banger. Slow start.
수많은 밤을 지나 마침내 여기 똑같은 이름 말에 하나가 된 우리 여태 달려온길 바랬던 꿈이 이제 현실이 돼 쓰여진 스토리 수줍던 Monday 즐겁던 Sunday 우리가 되기 위해 지나온 날들 아직 좀 서먹한 너와 나 앞으로 잘 부탁해 오늘을 기록할게 웃어자 3, 2, 1 항상
Nice build. I'm already loving this build. We've got the anthem. Based off of like the placement on the album, this is one of those like anthems that's supposed to listen like a this is one that's supposed to listen kind of like a ballad, so you're supposed to feel in this, and I'm feeling feels from it. The little like gang shouting parts. Add a little bit of crunch of the electric guitar. Oh, and let that last note from the vocal trail off. Ooh. Human psychology lesson once again. Something about whenever you hear a group of people like shouting along to one like melody makes you want to join along with them. And the fact that that's being incorporated into like this kind of slow anthem of all things is the perfect match, because this is one of those choruses, especially like this very much is a fan chantable song. Because, I mean, it's got the chanting part embedded into the original song to begin with. Especially that final chorus when you hear, like, the chants going on in the background. And there were certain choruses and parts where the main vocal, like, melody part was being backed up by gang chants instead of another melody part. So you got the multifaceted texture of multiple people shouting the words, but that one singular vocalist singing those words with the actual notational qualities to them and things like that. And it's again another way that ZEROBASEONE don't isolate their vocals. Not like in a way where you just have one person singing one part. It always has a support. And if this is kind of like a roundabout metaphor way of saying like the members are always going to be like part of one team, like I know this is very much reading into it at a different level, but I think that would be such a cool musical like identity to retain for their careers. Oh, yeah, I love it. I genuinely love it. I mentioned that it kind of feels like a ballad in a way, and it's not that it's like a slow song, but yes, it's probably the slowest song of the entire album in terms of beats per minute. But what I mean by like it feels ballady is typically the final song on an album is meant to be a ballad because it's like the emotional finale, the conclusion to the entire project. And while this wasn't like a slow, drawn out, really like tearjerker ballad type of beat, you still feel like the kind of emotional power the song possesses, whatever direction it may be, whether it's like an emotional good, an emotional bad, emotional happy, emotional sad, whatever the case may be. Just the kind of power, the grandioseness of it, the swells of this song very much play a big part in the emotional aspect of how a human like digests a song like this. So as a fan of a really good ballad, like I'm a big sucker for a ballad. And even though this isn't like a ballad in the traditional sense, it very much feels like one when I listen to it, and I love the feeling I get from listening to it because there's a sort of kind of empowering like this is our time, let's go fight the world kind of that type of vibe to it. It's like get the guys together, let's go out, let's tackle the world. It's got kind of hopefulness to it. And that leaves us with one final song. This is Always, and if I remember correctly, this is the Jang Hao solo track. Lyrics by Yi Jin, who was also on Back to Zero Base. Composition, Im Suho, Nico, and Dr. Han of Entropy and P-Maker, Julie Yu, and Elias Olberg, once again. And then the Entropy P-Maker team on arrangements as well. Okay, first of all, that is a criminal length for a member, so 2 minutes? I guess I'll treat it as an outro, but I love how atmospheric it is already. Interesting that on the solo track they're really focusing on the fact that it's his voice on his own. Nice head voice flip. Okay, this was not the beat I expected from this. Oh my goodness. And this must be the bridge, so it's a one-verse song. Oh, and the chord to finish it. Oh my goodness, Jang Hao, your voice. Wow, there's a certain delicacy to his voice. Like, he can put so much air in his tone but not lose the power, and I think that's so cool. Wow. Really buttery, smooth vocals. and also very high. Like he's sitting comfortably in that head voice of his, and there's a nice, lovely airy tone to that head voice of his. But he flips back and forth so easily. Like his head voice flips up and down are really smooth. Like you can, on especially like the higher voiced main vocals in boy groups, you can hear pretty clearly when the voice switches from the chest voice to the head voice. Like there's a pretty distinct flip. And you notice it with Jang Hao as well. But it's that he slides into that head voice so cleanly. It's like a gradual shift instead of like, it's not an on and off switch for his head voice. It's like almost like a dimmer switch in a way. Or like when you're editing something on like Final Cut or Sony Vegas or DaVinci Resolve or whatever, you like kind of overlap the two clips together so it like kind of phase over. It's like that. He has like a two-phase voice where there's a gradual transition between his chest and his head voice. And that's so satisfying to listen to. Whoa. Also, that beat switch came out of absolutely nowhere. I thought this was going to be like a really slow, mellow song that would flex his really smooth vocal. No, that beat picked up so fast out of nowhere. It's like, it just kind of smacks you out of nowhere. And by the time you realize what's happened, that beat is like well and truly on the way, and you're just left to vibe with it. Yeah. Why is this song one verse? It's a single verse, single pre-chorus, single chorus. So like verse 1, pre-chorus 1, chorus 1, straight into bridge, and then the final chorus. Like that is criminal, the fact that there's no second verse on this song. But man, is that good or what? Okay. Genuinely speaking, this album has blown me away. Like the debuting boy groups this year in general have blown me away. Especially in this kind of like spring to summer season. Like we had The Wind had a really solid 4-track EP on debut. Of course, ZEROBASEONE, this entire album was so good. And Boy Next Door out of KOZ also has such a good debut project. Like, oh my goodness, the boy groups this year have been so good. Like, genuinely so good. Oh. Wow. And considering like they're already kind of record setters in the Korean pop world, like what, 1 million albums in 9 hours or something like that after debut? Like, that's a ludicrous number for a debuting group. That's so cool. That's so cool. I hope they do well, man. I really hope they do well. As much as I might not like the shows, I do have a soft spot for the produce groups, and essentially, I've really enjoyed every single one of them. Like, IOI I've really enjoyed, 101 I really enjoyed, IZ*ONE were my alt group at one point, X1 gone way too soon, but I really vibed with X1, even though I didn't really vibe with the show all that much, and I didn't really know the members all that well, but I really vibe with X1's music. Kepler have been tremendous to watch, and now ZEROBASEONE, oh yeah. Mnet, in terms of like the produce and the like Boys Planet, Girls Planet series, legitimately, I can confidently say are 6 for 6 when it comes to musical quality. They are tremendous. And I really hope they do well with this. I reckon they will anyways, but I really hope they do anyways. And I hope this kind of direction they're going with their music and the level at the music that they're like producing can be sustained and just constantly improved until whenever their contracts expire, which will be something for future me to deal with. But that's the point. This was great. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did, but that is it from me today. Thank you all for watching along with me. I already said that. Yeah, thank you all for watching. One last request from me today. Let us work together as a community to bring a little bit of extra happiness back into the world, whether it be, checking with your friends and family, holding the door open for somebody, even picking up a piece of trash off the street. Just one small act of kindness that may brighten up someone else's day to day. And know that wherever you are in the world, should you ever be going through a tough time in your life, for whatever reason it may be, even though I'm just some guy on the internet who waffles about music in his free time, know that I will always be a friend, ally, and a shoulder to lean on whenever you need me. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, spread the love, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.